Hey guys, Jay Nice on the mic here with another video. This is the first video I'm making with my new hair. Hope y'all like it. So let's talk about Africa. I wanted to make this video super duper quickly because I saw something that I loved. I had a video on my channel. I recorded it about a year ago, and the video was why people do not travel to Africa. So I just saw that Cardi B is right now in Nigeria, and a little birdie told me she's also going to be in Ghana for Afrochella, which is a really big music festival that they hold. They've been having it for the last few years in Ghana. Last year, I had the opportunity to go to Afrochella and it was super duper lit. So I'm a little sad that if Cardi really is going to be there this year, that I'm missing it. But I think that it's really, really important that, and it's super dope that she's in Nigeria. If you guys haven't seen it, go to her Instagram and go to her Insta story. She had some really interesting, hilarious Insta stories. They might be gone now, but she actually went to a Nigerian strip club. She was throwing some Naira, which is the Nigerian money. I think it's really important that we start a movement where more people are going and visiting Africa. And Bozoma St. John, who is the former chief branding officer for Uber, has partnered with the Ghanaian government for this year. 2019 makes 400 years since Africans were stolen from our continent and brought to the Americas during slavery. So this year marks 400 years, and they're doing something called, this is now the year of the return. So Ghanaian government is welcoming Americans, particularly Black Americans, to come back home. Many of the slaves who were taken from Africa were taken from Ghana. And my husband and I had an opportunity to go to Elmina Castle, which is one of the very well-known and famous slave castles. It was a remarkable and unforgettable experience. If you haven't gone, I definitely recommend it. But I think that it's important that we start to highlight and show more stories of Africa. For those of you who don't know, my parents are both from Cameroon, and I think that growing up, a lot of the narrative around Africa, and it's starting to change, but growing up, a lot of the narratives around Africa were that it was a very impoverished continent where you didn't go, people had AIDS and Ebola, people lived in huts, they didn't have cars, there's no technology. There's so many misconceptions about the continent, and there's so much beauty. You know, I'm probably biased, but I think Africa is the most beautiful continent. There's so much beauty, so much resources, so much diversity. The people are a wide range of phenotypes and just everything. You have everything you can even imagine in Africa. And I think that it's a really beautiful thing when you see public figures going to Africa and highlighting the beauty of the country. I think it's really awesome that Cardi is, I don't know if she's there for a concert, or I'm assuming she's probably performing there, but I think that a lot of the narrative that we see in movies and videos is that Africa is just not really a place that you want to go. I shared this in my video that is no longer available on my channel, but for our honeymoon last year, my husband and I went to Egypt and Ghana. And when we told a lot of our friends that we were going to Egypt and Ghana, everyone was super excited about Egypt because it seems like a place that everyone wants to go if they haven't visited. However, a lot of people thought that it was weird that we were going to Ghana for our honeymoon. Now, I had such an amazing time in Ghana, and the country's so beautiful, and I could make a whole video. That's a whole nother story. I could make a whole nother video just on the beauty within Ghana. But I think that it's important that we try, especially those of us from the diaspora, if you are Black or of African descent, I think it's nice to go to Europe. And I think that there's this huge trend where everyone wants to go to Paris. Paris is cool. Italy's cool, but there's nothing like Africa. And I love to see, and I'm hoping that with the rise of Afro beats and with this being the year of the return, and with Ghana and many countries welcoming Black Americans with open arms, I hope that there's going to be more exploration to the African continent. I hope that it's not just going to be Egypt and South Africa that people go to. I just think that my hope is that there's more exploration in the continent. And I encourage you to look into different countries. Look into Tanzania. Tanzania has some of the most beautiful safaris in all of Africa, not just Kenya, but there's so many countries that are less traveled, less visited. I encourage you, all of you watching this, to look into African travel. I think that many of the countries are significantly cheaper because they're not I guess, as popular tourist destinations. In the upcoming years, they probably will be, but I think that we need to normalize traveling to Africa in order to dispel the myths about the continent as a whole. If you all remember years ago when Ebola was a thing, everyone was saying that there was this idea and misconception that every African around had Ebola. And I had heard people saying things that were very derogatory and very denigrating toward people who are African. And I think that what this does again is it just further perpetuates all of the negative narratives that have been said about Africans. And growing up, I heard a lot of it, and what we see in the media and how we see these missionaries going to Africa to save the people. And that's a whole nother story that I'm not even going to get into. A great Instagram account to follow is No White Saviors. By the way, I encourage all of you to follow them. I follow them, and they are very interesting and informative Instagram page. And I think that there's something so beautiful about reconnecting with our ancestry and our heritage. And especially for those of us from the diaspora, going to Africa is like a full circle moment, and you really get to, there's no words. I'm trying to put words together, and there's really no words to describe the feeling when you go back home and you feel like you're amongst your people. But I just encourage all of you out there watching to go to Africa. This was kind of like a haphazard and disorganized video, but I just wanted to make this super quickly. Let me know if any of you watching have ever been to any countries in Africa, or if you're planning travel, please let me know where you're going. I would love to hear it. And I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.